Member for Narangga.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I rise today to highlight the importance of new skills and training opportunities and incentives for young people within the Narangga electorate. I was honoured, Mr Speaker, last Friday to cut the ribbon of a new automotive centre at Harvest Christian College in Kadina. And this Friday, we'll be celebrating the opening of the new STEM works at the Kadina Memorial School, two really great initiatives shown by local schools to help train young people for the jobs of the future. Much has been made, Mr Speaker, of the vital need to ensure South Australian school students are equipped and skilled, ready to capitalise on the projected King's ransom of jobs anticipated to hit our shores in the very near future. The decision by the federal government to award South Australia the National Space Agency and the extensive shipbuilding contracts mean that there is a wide range of jobs that the next generation of South Australians will have access to. In order to capitalise on those opportunities, South Australian students need to have the requisite skills to make the most of their chances, and that's where facilities like the new Automotive Centre at Harvest Christian College and the STEM facility at Kadina Memorial School, which is now the largest school outside of metropolitan Adelaide, Mr Speaker, will be so beneficial. The opening last Friday of the Automotive Centre was a delight to be a part of, and with restored vintage Valiants on display and even the school's percussion group entertaining us using various car parts as instruments, Mr Speaker. It was quite a show indeed. A tour of the well-equipped workshop followed, complete with a hoist in action, and the enthusiasm and pride for the project was clear from Principal Peter Ayub, staff, students, parents and friends. Learning facilities like this one enable students to get a taste for what specific trades entail, inspire them onto future career paths, provide an early chance to learn those skills and get an opportunity to make a more informed decision about what they want to do in the future. There is no disadvantage, Mr Speaker, in choosing to pursue an apprenticeship. In fact, on average, the Minister for Industry and Skills told a Business Roundtable recently, on average, it has been reported that those who start an apprenticeship are earning $2,000 per year more than their uni counterparts after 5 years, and all that without a HECS debt either. As I said, that statistic was highlighted by the Minister for Industry and Skills when he visited Kadina and Wallaroo last week, where he met with training providers and employers specifically to discuss future workforce needs. And I thank him very much for that visit. Indeed, Mr Speaker, it was wonderful to have him down here, and I would contend that it was quite an impressive turnout of local businesses and training providers to that business round table, which just highlights the impact that the Minister's policy for apprenticeships is having on local industry. He also talked more about the state government's Skilling South Australia program, the 780 qualifications that are now subsidised, the $203 million partnership with the federal government to rebuild our training system to create an additional 20,800 apprenticeships and traineeships across the state. We were pleased to meet with students and staff from the Kadina Memorial School, tour the Kadina TAFE and meet with training providers and talk with local employers and providers at the business roundtable I referred to earlier. Skills gaps, potential areas for improved services and support, available grant programs and direct experiences from the employer and apprentice point of view were shared openly and honestly. Hurdles being faced by local business include attracting, training and retaining their workforce. There are no easy points, Mr Speaker, and all needs work, but hopefully this policy that the Minister has put together so wonderfully will help that pipeline of future apprentices. Across the state, Mr Speaker, apprenticeship numbers are down 55% in the last 5 years alone, which will inevitably mean that we will face a shortage of skilled tradespeople sometime in the relatively near future. For instance, we know we're facing a projected shortage of 1,100 specialist welders that we'll need when the shipbuilding commences, so it is important the state government foresees the gaps and provides the required training opportunities to ensure students are equipped to be ready for future industry needs. This government places a high premium on ensuring that involvement in apprenticeships increases and that we arrest the decline trend and reverse it. Under Skilling South Australia, the Marshall Liberal government has more than doubled the accommodation allowance and increased the travel rate to ease the costs of accessing training for employers of regional apprentices and trainees. And late last year, we announced an additional 383 courses will receive subsidy funding from January 2019. It's very exciting for local employers to be able to access that increased subsidy as well. I know it makes their job easier because inevitably that cost gets transferred over to them. There are projected future workforce and skills gaps in the health and disability services too. And last week's announcement by Minister Bessoni that a new aged care traineeship Cert 3 course is now being offered is further good news. It means that there are now more than 30 Skilling South Australia projects creating apprenticeship and trainee opportunities around the state. And I congratulate the Minister on the wonderful work that he is doing in this space.
The member for Torrance.